Listen carefully. This is not motivation. This is exposure. Nobody ruined your life overnight. They trained you, slowly. You were trained to seek approval, trained to fear judgment, trained to doubt yourself before you even try. And the scariest part? You think it's your personality. Let me ask you something real. Why do you hesitate before posting something online? Why do you rehearse conversations in your head that never even happen? Why does one negative comment stay in your mind longer than 10 compliments? That's not sensitivity, that's conditioning. From childhood, you learned a simple rule: be accepted or be alone. So your brain adapted. It learned to avoid risk. It learned to play safe. It learned to silence your real thoughts. Dark psychology reveals this truth. Most people don't live their lives, they perform them. You laugh when you don't find it funny. You agree when you don't believe it. You shrink when you should expand. Because rejection feels like danger, and your brain treats emotional pain the same way it treats physical pain. That's why comfort is addictive. Not because it feels good, but because it feels safe. Scrolling feels safe. Procrastinating feels safe. Staying average feels safe. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about survival. And survival hates uncertainty. Here's a brutal fact most people never realize. Your mind will sabotage your future to protect your present. That's why when you try to change, resistance appears. Suddenly you feel tired. Suddenly you don't feel like it. Suddenly doubts show up that were quiet before. That's not coincidence. That's your old identity fighting back. Ever notice how when you decide to improve your life, people suddenly mock you or say, "You've changed"? That's not about you. That's about them losing psychological comfort, because your growth threatens their excuses. Dark psychology exposes another harsh truth. People don't hate confident individuals. They hate the reflection. Your discipline reminds them of their laziness. Your courage reminds them of their fear. Your progress reminds them of their delay. So they discourage you, subtly, with jokes, with doubt, with concern. And if you're not aware, you absorb it. That's how potential dies, not through failure, but through influence. Let's talk about emotions. You think emotions guide you, but most of the time, emotions control you. You don't skip work because you're lazy. You skip it because your brain associates effort with discomfort. You don't chase meaningless validation because you're shallow. You do it because your brain craves external reassurance. You don't fear failure. You fear what failure would say about you. Dark psychology teaches this. Your actions are driven more by fear of loss than desire for gain. That's why you stay where you are, even when you hate it. But here's where power begins. The moment you stop obeying every thought. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. Just because you feel it doesn't mean you should act on it. Strong people are not fearless. They are selectively disobedient. They disobey fear. They disobey comfort. They disobey the urge to quit. They understand that emotions are signals, not commands. And slowly, something changes. Their confidence doesn't come from success. Success comes from their confidence. They stop asking permission. They stop waiting to be ready. They stop needing validation. Because they realize this one dark truth: nobody is coming to save you. And that's not depressing. That's freeing. Because if nobody controls your future except you, then nobody can stop you either. Awareness breaks chains. Once you see the game, you stop playing it unconsciously. And the moment you stop being controlled by your mind, you become dangerous in the best way.